one of the things I hate in society in general is people's sense of entertainment from gossiping. I absolutely hate gossip. I don't like it at all. I just think, what's the point? And yet, some people literally, that's literally just typical of them. That's just like they just consider it normal. Being in, listening in, and sort of attuning to other people's lives, having an opinion on it, and they delve into this rabbit hole of nonsense when really it's irrelevant. What someone does with their life, decisions they make, and the choices and things, and the interactions. It really has someone's opinion of it has no bearing on their life. So, like, for instance, you might pass judgment on someone and say they shouldn't be doing this, they should do that, blah blah blah. It's like, there's no semblance of reality, though, does it? Because it's like that's just your opinion. You a lot of time we think our opinion has more weight to other people's lives than it does. Yeah, of course, sometimes we can influence people, and sometimes maybe people respect you enough to take that on board. And maybe in some instances, people are insecure, so they do listen to all that. But people that are confident in themselves and they have their own direction, they're not going to care what someone projects onto them. It's irrelevant. So this is going to go against what I'm saying there. Again, I did another video where I talk about I'm a constant contradiction. Uh, so I don't gossip for entertainment. I don't gossip for fun, and I don't really get involved in it in my private time. So sometimes I talk on topics, and most of the time it's going to be something that's personal to me, which will border on gossip. But it's the only way to talk about and reflect upon personal circumstance and maybe help other people grow. So there is a level of gossip within it. But away from that content, I don't really bother with all that shit in my private life. I don't really ask about people too much. I don't really care really. So like my life has been quite challenging since forever. I mean, you could say a long time, but I think if you start going far enough back, you just go forever, really. It's always a challenge from one place to another, and there's always projections people are put on. There's always people try to limit my potential, and that's people closest to me, like family members. So as you get older, you sort of reflect upon those things, and you realize you see people for who they are. Now, growing up, you think your family's close, but again, it's suppressing, and then you realize there's a lot of drama, a lot of egos. There is a stubbornness that runs through the family in general, but there's a lot of sabotage as well without it being obvious, you know. So yeah, so like so the point there is there'll be pockets of the family who are gossiping about each other, and I'll be part of that cycle of gossip within their life. But, like I say, in my private life, couldn't give a shit about anyone, and that's not me trying to be arrogant or egotistical. It's just I've made a decision on the family members who I hold dear and close, and I've effectively judged those who I don't respect anymore. And it doesn't matter what they try to do in this lifetime, it's going to be no consequence to me. Now, whether I know someone personally or whether I don't, always hope people heal, hope people grow and they transform beyond their circumstances. I don't begrudge people growth, success. That's irrelevant to me. So if someone is successful sooner than me, for instance, or to just have something positive in their life, I wouldn't look on with envy because, again, I'm not obsessed about other people's lives. It doesn't affect like the outcome of mine. So it's like, I hope you do well. Why would I want someone to have a bad life? It's just, those closest to me, for instance, those that have been in my life, they've had long enough to have had a significant period within it to be positive. Now that I've seen everybody for who they are and I've made my own judgments and decisions, there's no circumventing that. There's no point, even if they grow and they evolve and they've healed, it's like, yeah, you have to do that away from me because I've no interest anymore. I just don't care. Yeah. So the reason I talk about this is because there's just different personalities involved. Like I'm very, like I just said, stubbornness runs in the family to a degree, but I'm probably the most stubborn. But then I'm also the most self-confident. I'm the one because I don't say that lightly. It's just I am. I don't have the insecurities the others carry. Like the others are project confidence, but really they're all very insecure people. I picked everybody apart the other day to my mum. I said I can see through absolutely everybody, and it's like I know how that's going to play out. they continue down their cycle. And I said, that one's doing that one's doing that one's doing that. I'm not really going to go too deep here. And she knew. And it was like, yeah. So without being rude and getting too deep into that, I feel that the majority of the people in my family they've reached their full potential. So there's nothing really unless something substantially changes for the positive, there's no real growth to be had. It's more like recycling what they've already done within this lifetime experiences and effectively just living off that to a degree. There's no real potential for something beautiful to happen beyond that because that health is declining, all sorts of things now within those dynamics. You just see people, I don't say that'd be triggering. It's just a reflection. But yeah, I recognize I haven't even reached my full potential. So there's a lot of growth to be had within my life. So in some ways, they have a lot of what I would crave or desire. But again, I'm not envious of it. It's just there's a reflection within my life and I see what I'm building and growing. And I look at what they have. And it's kind of like, if I had that on top of what I already have, I would feel incredibly successful. And yet they have a lot of the things that I would actually appreciate and they take for granted. It's like, at what point does that make someone happy? It's just crazy. I'm trying not to be too personal with it. I'm trying to be a bit as vague as I can. But there's like a situation within the family dynamic, for instance. Like my mum is the epicenter of our world, like because our stepdad passed away. So, she wants to keep the peace, but her eyes are open more and more. And I do say to her, the difference with you and me is that I don't let people, once I see people who they are, I already know who they are. I just put a fan on. But you have a habit of letting people just come back in and out. And I get it. I understand why, but they're never going to learn their lessons. So people could disrespect, like my siblings can disrespect my mum, for instance, and they'll act like they didn't. And this is what they're like, it's just, I see everything and I remember absolutely everything. So you can't pull the wool over my eyes. I'll call them out on the things they've done, It's like, I don't like you because of this and that. There's nothing you can change that. But with my mum, for instance, they'll disrespect her and then they'll come back in at any moment and just like pick up where they left off, if you like, as though nothing's happened. They don't even address the disrespect. And it's just like, pretend nothing happened. There's no badness there. And it's like, my God, you people are freaking mental cases. That shit don't wash with me. That wouldn't wash with me. Don't put me in a room with them because I won't play nice. It's like, I'm not there to play nice. To put it into perspective, because I'm quite open and transparent with my mum. We have an incredible relationship. And I do have transparent conversations with her, like, so she knows where I'm at. Things, I don't sugarcoat anything. I did say to her, like, when you pass on, like when you go, and these are not conversations you particularly want to have. I think it's important to have transparency. I said I will, because I'm not really a funeral person. I don't really see the point to a degree, and it's not being disrespectful. I think it's more for the people you leave behind than the person who you're saying goodbye to, And it's all like that public, it's that public display of emotions. I'm not really a public display of emotions sort of person, So I don't see the point of having a performance. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd rather mourn in private, and that's how I am. But with my mum, she deserves me to be there when a time comes, like if there's a funeral, for these things. So what I've said to her is, I will, like, when you go, I will attend the funeral. Like, if there's I'm not expecting it to happen now. I'm just letting her know, so she doesn't have to be worried like that, because there's division within the family. I will attend, but I'll make it clear if the others try to communicate, I'm not there for them. I'm there for you only. I've got no interest in having conversations with people. And if there's like a wake after or whatever, I won't attend that. I'm only there to attend the send off, pay my respects, and then I would leave. That's literally where the relationship is with me and my siblings, because they've not only disrespected me, but they've disrespected my mum an awful lot too. And they do it in very subtle ways with my mum. With me, sometimes they slip up. They slip up, and I catch everything. So I already have an inkling, for instance, of the way people feel about me, for instance, and it's almost like they try to keep me small to make themselves feel good with their life. So any success you had, it's off the back of someone else, or you're not doing that, and it's like I'm doing everything. My mum has supported me a lot of my life. Like she supported me. Like when finances are really bad, like she really does help in those periods. I can pick the phone. I can phone her, and if she hears the call, she'll answer it. You know, that's the relationship we have. I don't like receiving money off my mum. I can't wait for my finances to improve, and I can just bless her beyond measure, which I will do. No hesitation at all. But she has helped me throughout periods, and I'm not here to hide that. You know, I wish she didn't have to. But what my siblings will do, they hold that against me, and they think I'm taking advantage. So I'm not. You know, I treat my mum treats me the same way I do my daughter. Even if I've barely got anything, my daughter, I know my daughter needs something, and she's trying to act like she doesn't need it. I know when she needs something, and I make sure she has it. Even if I don't have a lot left, I will always try to do what she needs, and I'll always be like that for her whole life. So I understand that side of things, and it's not about taking advantage, because I'd rather, like I said, you know, I intend to bless her, but I wouldn't help the others. And that's where that is. But that's often used against me. But it's used in very spiteful ways, which I spoke about in my book. I don't know if I did in my books, but I spoke about it in previous videos. My sister made a point about needing, like my mum helping pay towards legal costs when I had to fight for my daughter through family court. And for me, that was incredibly spiteful. And of all the things she's done, and then she talks behind people's backs and then smiles to their face and then gossips again. So who'd she do that to? All of them. She must do that to everyone, even her children, because that's who she does it to, you know? It's just mad. And yet they all act like they're best friends and they get on. It's like, no. You all gossip. You all act secretly at odds with each other, but pretend you all love each other. It's a really strange dynamic, and I just leave them to it. It's like you can pretend all you like, but I see through that shit. But I felt that was a low blow in that sense, you know? It's like my stepdad was alive then, and he said sell his car to fund that. So, look, I wish people didn't have to sacrifice, but that was like a sacrifice that I wasn't prepared for, and there's nothing else I could have done. And people were prepared to be selfless because something mattered more. You know, it wasn't about me. So, like my sister trying to put that on me, and it's like it wasn't about me; it was about my daughter. People cared enough about her to fight for her. So I did everything I needed to do in that moment, but I had limited resources. So those who loved her dearly invested in the financial side. And that was just my parents. No one else contributed anything money-wise. You know, and this is what I'm dealing with, you know. This is I could go on so many levels with this shit. They've always been like that. And it's like, don't ever ask me for anything because you never, ever supported me. And it's like, sometimes you have to, the reason I do this video isn't to sort of like badmouth people. It's to make people reflect upon their own life and have the confidence to say, look, this isn't working for me. You know, these people are people I'm supposed to trust. They're supposed to be people I respect. I'm supposed to love them for my whole life. Like, and I expected to go through life with that ethos. But wait a minute. They're not good people. And just because they're siblings doesn't mean I'm attached to them for life. So I don't respect them. I don't even like them anymore. And it's like, I've got no interest in pretending of any. I'm not a fake person. I can't pretend for shit because I don't want to. I don't see the point. I've got better things to do in my life than freaking waste my time pretending to be something or just pretending with people. What the hell? You know, you're either a good person or you're not a good person. So I either like you or I don't like you. There's not hardly ever a grey area. So it's like, I don't need this shit. It's like, I don't care if you want to see me. I don't care if you want to speak to me. I don't care if you want to make amends. It's like, it's irrelevant to me. What do I want? I want you out of my life. Thank you. So like I say, in my private life at home, I'm alone. You know, I spend time with my daughter in holidays, things like that, and then I get on with whatever I've got to get on with throughout the year. I'm very independent. You know, like I say, I talk to my mum quite often, and sometimes I do get to visit her, but usually it's when I spend time with my daughter because that's just the logistics. But apart from that, I'm far further away from everybody. There was something I was going to say there. Yeah, so like when I visit my mum, then I start to hear things I don't really give a shit about, in all honesty. But, you know, I think people do it on purpose, to be honest. I think they feed her bits of information because they think, oh, he'll hear that. And I give a shit. You know, like I care. But they do things either for my mum to know certain things, even though she's left out of specifics, or it's done so I know what's going on. Like genuinely, why would I give a shit? It's like when I turned up and one of my sisters had recently done skydiving or something. My mum said, "Do you want to see the video?" I said, "No. Why would I want to see the video? Like, I don't want to see the video. That's for you to watch. I don't give a shit." I know I don't come across in the best light, but again, I don't care how I come across. If I'm finished with someone, I really don't care about a window into their life. It's just as simple as that. It's like, even if I said, hopefully they'll grow and evolve. We've lost recently. I did a video, and we recently lost one of my stepbrothers. Like, most of us hadn't spoke to him in years. So although it come as a shock, it didn't exactly change your daily life because it weren't in my daily life. I'm not going to talk bad about people that have gone, but like when they met my daughter, for instance, early on, they showed no interest. Now, some people are not kiddie and I get that, but you don't have to be rude, you don't have to be arrogant, and I didn't like that. So I always said, like, I'm not even bothering anymore. Like, I'm not bothering with people that are rude to like people closest to me, So in that sense, it doesn't really change my dynamic in life as such, but it is a sad thing, and you can't help but think like if things had been different for them and all that. But people have to take accountability of their own lives too. So I'm happy enough with my own core group of people, and it's like the life I'm building, and there's a lot of respect within the people closest to me. So like I say, when I see the others, it's like I look at their life and I think it's all chaotic as shit, and yet, okay, my daughter doesn't live with me yet. She's nearly 16. And she'll have choices to make in her future. She may never live with me. You don't know how life goes. Maybe she gets maybe a relationship evolves. Maybe go off to university. I don't know the plans, but they don't necessarily have to live with me. But when we spend time together, it is incredibly beautiful. Like, we are so close, it's ridiculous. It's like nothing's ever been able to separate us emotionally and the way we are together. And I'll support her with whatever she needs in life. And these are things that I don't. The others in the family don't really have that relationship with their children. I mean, one of my sisters does, really, but yeah, they've got issues in their life. I'm not going to go on about what they contend with because I can see the vulnerability, and it's something they need to work on, but it's not for me to heal it. It's like you're going to have to do it for yourself in the same way I've had to navigate an awful lot on my own, and I've had to go through more trauma than any of them. And I'm still the way I am. So it's like, if I can do this, you can do that, and it's just something to work through in life. Make peace with what you've got, I think. Like me personally, I say it all the time, I'm not looking for attention or validation from people. I'm happy just to have a very small group of people I trust and love. That's all I need. And I think that's all the majority of people need. So when you sort of like look towards social media or look towards groups and you want to fit in, it's like, but why? Why? The odds of you fitting in 100% with masses of people is very low. Too many personalities involved, and most people are copies of others. So if you're an original and you're surrounded by so many copycats of others, they're just mimics. It's like, why do you even want their respect anyway? And because you stand out, because you're different, because you're original, it's like a threat to the people who are not original. So, like I say, if you're an original person and you're confident in your own, you're independent, it's going to be really hard to fit in with sheep. Because it's like, make peace with that. It's no point. You can't go through life expecting everybody to like you because it's impossible. It's impossible. People have a lot of issues in their life and they don't want. It's effective if let's say you're confident, you're self-assured, you have direction in your life. You meet people who are like don't have confidence. They have no direction. They're looking for validation everywhere. They're not really going to be liking you too much because you're everything they're not. You're shining a light on their insecurities and the things that they need to heal and grow. So is it beneficial to stay in that presence and try to appease them and try to fit in? Or is it better just to say, look, I'm just going to keep flourishing like a butterfly. I'm just going to keep navigating this experience and I'm going to focus on my growth and my elevation. And if I meet incredible people along the way, then I'll value that. But you don't need everyone. And so that's where I'm at. It's like, my daughter's been in my life, her whole life, should we say. Nearly 16. I think I've done a pretty incredible job with her because I think she's one of the best people I know. So I am incredibly proud of her. By extension, I'm quite proud of myself. In all honesty, I know I've done well. Yeah. So, like from that point of view, when you consider gossip, because I think people who gossip, they can't. I don't think they can understand that others are not interested in that shit. You know, I'm not here to try to um, turn people against anyone. I couldn't care less. It's like if people, like for instance, if someone hears a story and it comes from one of their mouths, and then someone gains an opinion of me based on whatever nonsense they spew, it's like I really don't give a shit though. It's like I don't care. Like believe what you want about me. It's like it's no difference to me. It really doesn't. I know who I am. My mum knows who I am. My daughter knows who I am. Beyond that, I really couldn't give a shit. You know, those closest to me know all the sides of my personality. You know, they know the really silly, goofy side that just comes out like crazy with them because I can be like that. They know the intelligent side that's. I am incredibly smart. I'm not going to hide that. I'm not going to sit there and start diminishing it just because other people don't want to hear that shit. I'm a smart, intelligent person. I get it. I'm spiritual. I've had a lot of spiritual growth, which I've shared with my daughter, and she's uncovering things for herself, and it's been incredible watching her grow. My mum has suppressed a very lot of it her whole life. So there's things she was trying to shield me from. So by all accounts, it runs in the family. But I'm sort of embracing it more than anyone ever has. And it's like by extension, I'm allowing my daughter to flourish too. So there's those sides. I can be outspoken. So I might talk on things that are quite confrontational and people might not like. And those closest to me, they know I'm like that. I can be fiery, hot tempered sometimes. Things can just trigger me like in an instant. I can get really pissed off quick, especially if I'm driving and you've got an idiot on the road. I'll be transparent. But I was driving home yesterday, 2 hour drive home. Got idiots just blocking the faster lane because they're just arrogant and ignorant. Don't want to check their mirrors or don't want to just seem like they're giving in. You got a whole stretch of road where you could move to the inside lane. Now I could undercut them and make an illegal move, but I shouldn't have to. So I was sitting behind them thinking, you're a moron for most of the way. And then they kept braking just to try and make me brake. I thought, I'm not going to keep doing that shit. So I was getting irritated as shit with them, to be honest. Wasn't particularly making their life easy in the process, but, you know, it's like, yeah, so there are sides to all of us, isn't there? And there's things that maybe people hide. Like, I'm transparent like that, you know, I just don't care. I think part of it comes, first of all, it comes from me knowing myself and I just embrace who I am 100%. I think another side of that comes from the fact that people keep trying to portray themselves as perfect. And I know instinctively that no one is perfect. So I don't want to go to a deep tangent on religion and things, but you'll find there's an awful lot of religious people who are hypocrites. You know, they'll sort of do all this spew about having all this faith, and then behind closed doors, they'll behave in a way that is not very, whatever their religion is. You know, it goes against their religion. So maybe they're bullies at home, you know, or even abusive. That goes against the religion. There'll be people who are they just robbing people. You know, there's a lot of theft. There's a lot of violence that goes against the religions, and yet they ask for repentance, forgiveness, and they feel like it's a get out of jail free card. So there's a lot of hypocrisy in the world. So what people do, they don't like to show their flaws. People inherently try to just boost their positive side. And I know most people are fake. So, like, I swear in my private life. I think I swear that much, but if I'm with my daughter, sometimes she tells me I do a lot, and I'm like, do I? I don't know. I haven't noticed it. I did it. And she said, she just did. And I'm like, what? No, I didn't. What did I say? She doesn't swear at all. She doesn't, like, it's not that she can't, like, she just won't for some reason. And it's like, I don't push her to, but apparently mum's tested her trying to make her swear, but I would never do that. I wouldn't say try to swear. But no, she just doesn't want to for some reason. Although she has admitted to me that she does when she's around her friends, but for some reason she has standards around like family, and I think that's something to be admired, isn't it? It's not something I've enforced on her. I haven't told her she has to be a certain way. I've always told her be yourself. That matters to me more than anything. Is that I just want her to be free to be herself, and I don't care in what way that is, you know. But yeah, like I say, a lot of people just they always showcase their strengths, but they're like, or the positive aspects, but they gloss over their bad parts. So like you could swear and then someone call you up on it, not be like, it's like, yeah, but you probably swear in your private life and you just don't admit it. Or you're too uptight to swear. Like you've got a rod up your ass and you just can't be freaking, you're not free, are you? You're trying to be perfect. That mask's going to wear thin eventually. Or you're just pissed off all the time because you're not free to express yourself. Like, just be yourself. You know, no one says you've got to be upper class, you've got to be posh. It's like, because that's a misconception too. people who are posh, articulate, you'd assume they're the most intelligent people. And it's not always the case at all, is it? If you're not wearing a suit, you're not intelligent. It's like you're judging a book by its cover. You haven't got no idea about the average person's capability and capacity. So yeah, anyway. So I personally believe that gossip in itself, in its raw form, is really done by people who have little confidence in their life. And they don't have a lot of success. Because you can have successful people that will, because like, if they're not genuinely confident in themselves, they see everybody else as a threat. So they might gossip even on purpose to try to diminish other people, so they don't encroach on their success. So you'd have people doing all weird shit like that. But for the most part, it's going to be done by people who just have nothing going on in their lives. So it's easy to put people down to try to feel big. But I think the other side of that is if you consider that I can't put myself in the shoes of successful people, because honestly, I don't even know anyone that's successful deeply off the top of my head. I don't think I do. So all I can do is go off an image of what I would perceive that to be. And I don't think the majority of people who are successful have got time to waste to piss about, worrying about what other people are doing. You're focused on your goals, your success, your growth. And that is all about, in some ways it's selfish, but we all should be focusing on ourselves to a degree. So I don't see that as a selfish at all. It's an investment of self. And I think people who are investing in themselves are not worried about what other people are doing and what they're talking about. So you got to ask yourself, if people are gossiping, what level do you think they are within society and their life? Like, it's low vibrational shit, isn't it? And then you think, these are probably the same people that watch the trashy sort of TV shows. Like, I can't stand, in the UK we have EastEnders, and every time I see EastEnders, it's always negative. The whole show is just negative all the time. There's nothing really positive to the show at all. It's not uplifting, it's not inspiring, it's all just doom and gloom. And it's like, why would you sit and make yourself suffer through that crap? Because I can't watch it. But if you find that entertaining, I think that just says an awful lot about where you are in your life. Now, it's a big statement for me to make, because my mum absolutely loves EastEnders, and yet she is one of my favourite people, and she's grown up with it. But I don't know if it's an addiction at this point for her, where she can't look away, but she gets every episode, and I'm like, I keep pointing out to her that this is just negative trash. Like, why are you watching this shit? But anyway, yeah, there was things I was going to touch upon deeper within the family dynamic, but I don't think we really need to go too far with everything, really. But I think when people are disrespecting you, it's really important to take notice of that and just move away. Because the thing about life in general is you can't control what other people do in their life. So if someone wants to sit there and talk about other people as a hobby, as entertainment, because literally they've got no other function in their life of growth, success, ambition, and that's the level of their ambition, is to focus so heavily on someone else's life and garner an opinion on it and think that that's having some sort of like impression on you, that's up to them, because that's such a waste, isn't it? Where's the investment at all? Like, what does that even do? Where do you think about it? Like, what does that actually do? Okay, you're turning people against people. Okay, turn them against people. Who gives a shit? I don't care if the whole world was against me. It's irrelevant. It really is. So, okay, that's the goal, I guess. Like, if that's your goal, like, so how does that make you successful in your life, though? Because you're still like in a pathetic situation, though, isn't it? That still leaves you in a pathetic. Like, if that's your life goal, though, it's like the whole point of what I'm saying there is it doesn't affect like my goals, my aspirations, and what I'm striving for. It's so irrelevant. The people think their opinion of someone else has a bearing on their life. That's the part that's delusional. Like, they could sit and gossip all day long and just think, yeah. It's a bit like sports fans. You hear them all the time talking about their sports teams, and they go really mental about the squad, the players, the transfers, and the things that are happening. And like they're passionate. It's nice they have like an outlet to share it, but they start to feel like they're the manager, they're the chairman, they're in charge of the club, and this is what needs to change. This is what's going to change, and blah, blah, blah. It's like you literally have no influence at all. Let's say the club, the hierarchy, the ones in charge, even down to the manager, or even the players. Let's say none of them see any of that shit. You might think with a deep passion that you're having some semblance of control and influence on the team. You're literally having nothing on the team at all. Those that are they're busy running the club. I'm not saying they'll never see it, but let's say they don't see it. Like literally, nothing you're doing has any influence at all. You just think you're powerful, and that's what gossiping is. People think they're powerful, and it's like you're really not. The only power and influence you can have is on your own life. Like it really, I've never understood that. Why try to destroy someone else when you can just elevate yourself? Why spend so much time? Because it's jealousy. Jealousy and envy, they consume people's minds. It's like it's a toxin. You know. So like I say, once I finished doing this video and I switched the camera off and I stopped, I just switch. I don't even give a shit. Like the only people I'll be thinking about in my private life is my daughter and my mum. That's it. You know, sometimes I hear from my brother because he might need something and he might say, you know, and that has to work around my schedule. I'm not just bending to everything, you know, I've got my own shit to do, you know, and I've got my own schedule. I've got my own responsibilities. So that's another thing as well while we're on this, but it's not just about gossiping. It's about people's attachment to other people to solve their problems all the time. Because a lot of people in my family decided not to do driving lessons or whatever, so they don't drive. So when they need a lift, even if they're not local and they have to drive, like for instance, my brother's like 50 minutes away. It's nearly an hour. It takes me 2 hours to get to my hometown. So on the map, he looks fairly close, but it takes 50 minutes. Because it's main roads to my hometown, I can get there in 2 hours. So it's the same sort of thing, you know. For me to drive to them and back, it's the same as me driving all the way to my hometown, which is 100 miles away. That's crazy, you know. But they look at it from their point of view, like where they need to go, what they need help with, not the journey it's taking me to get to them and the journey it takes me to get back. And it's like a lot of messing about. And no one even values time. That's the part that annoys me the most. It's like people always just look at like maybe the cost of their travel to A to B, not the overall cost of the journey, because you're not doing it for myself, am I? I'm doing it for them. So why am I paying for this bloody trip? And then what they don't care about is the time it's took you. There's no respect or value of that. It's almost more like an expectation. And that gets on my nerves because the expectation is that you should do that. And then this is what my family are like though. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? It's like they guilt trip you. That's what I get all the time. If they put the weight of their life on me, expecting me to feel that sorry for them, that'll change my mind. So for instance, let's say they got an appointment and I'm like, well, I'm not doing that. That's too far. You're expecting me to drive an hour there, an hour back, an hour to wherever the hell you're going, which is an hour. I'll be driving for 4 hours. This is outrageous. Do it yourself. Figure your own way of doing this. You know, and then they'll go, oh, don't worry, I'll just cancel the appointment. It might be something they desperately need that appointment. It's like, that's ridiculous. You're putting the weight of your life on me and you're expecting me to solve all your issues when you've had years to be driving. And it's always been like this, you know. People are just lazy in general and then they expect you to solve the problems. And it's like, yeah, but that's not, you expected me, in the past, I would feel incredibly guilty. I still feel guilty sometimes. Like, there's still a level of, like, oh, but it's a more of, now I'm more balanced. Now I'm more sort of proactive in my thoughts, you know. So like, even if I start to feel like empathy, I'm also weigh it up with practicality. And it's like, that's not my problem. Like, that to that extent, that's something you need to solve. You can't just expect me every time because it creates a pattern of behavior where every time there's something up like that, it's like, I'm expected to solve the problem. You solve the problem. There was another issue recently. They've got they can get one of those cars on the mobility thing, so they can get a free car, brand new free car. And he wanted my driving license to put on there because he only has a provisional because he's not driving, but he's entitled to the car. And then he was making the point that because I said, I'm not giving you my driving license number. I'm like, why would I want the car? And he's like, well, when you visit, you can just you can then leave your car and then you can drive this car. I said, why would I want to drive your car when I like my car? Like, why would I have my car if I didn't like it? That doesn't make sense. Why would I want to play swapsies with cars? That's just stupid. Bear in mind, my car's actually fast, so you know, why would I want to slow a car for starters? But second of all, why would that be beneficial? It's like this idea. It's like, no, it's mad. But and then he's like, oh, don't worry, I'm not even going to bother. Then I'm not still going to bother because I can't get it without a driving license. It's like, well, wouldn't that make more sense to do your driving lessons? Like, wouldn't that make more sense? Because he's apparently entitled to free lessons as well. And it's like, that's just stupid if you don't. If you're that bone idle, that's just ridiculous. So that's self-inflicted, isn't it? So then what my point there is you've got people who make self-inflicted decisions where it's like they choose not to do something. And then because someone else was proactive in their life, they sort of hold that against them all the time. Like, because I can drive a car, I'm now automatically assigned the driver whenever they need. It's like, no, I'm not. Bloody hell, do it yourself. Stop expecting me to. Don't live vicariously through me. That's crazy. Yeah, that was an important detachment for me in life, because I don't now allow people to weigh me down by their lifestyles and stuff, because I've got my own life to live. I'm not going to feel guilty about that my whole life, where other people need me for this and I couldn't show up to that. It's like, that's not my problem. That's something you're going to have to work on, because I'm not going to carry that shit with me every day, because that's what people do to you, They do that reverse psychology shit, and then they put the weight of their life, and that don't work with me anymore. So if they say, oh, I'm not bothering, then it's like, okay, don't bother. It's not my problem. That's you. You're fiery. You're annoyed. It's like, that's something you process. That was never my problem. You didn't ask me about applying for it beforehand. You didn't ask these questions. I never said I'd give this. So don't presume shit. Why would I give out my driving license number? That's just dense. It's like not very intelligent at all. Yeah. Anyway, so these are the sort of things I have to deal with in my daily life too. It's just crazy. But I say on a map, it doesn't look so bad. But when you're actually driving, it's freaking ages, and it's just annoying because it damages your car, because it's not always the best roads. So the surfaces could be bouncing, all sorts. It starts messing your car springs up, your suspension gets damaged, all sorts of shit, And plus, like I say, beyond all that, it's time. It's ridiculous. It's like, we've all got our own lives to live at the end of the day. So that's what I'm learning more and more. I'm becoming more independent, isolated. But it's an acceptance that that's part of my life, I'm responsible for my life, and if I can navigate through it, then other people can navigate through theirs. And it's learning. People need that. They need to start being accountable for their life and stop expecting everybody else to solve it for them. Yeah. So anyway, there's lessons for all of us, of course. Sometimes I think it's important to have tough love. Sometimes it is important to step up and help people. So it's not about like just being like always no. It's like you consider the circumstance, It's like, if we talk about that another level there, that I've got a different dilemma coming up soon. I've got to travel back again to my hometown for a final dentist appointment to have a new crown attached to a tooth. And it turns out the day they return home is the same day I return home. So with that in mind, it would suggest it makes sense for me to just take them home. I can just drop them off and then go home after. But it's actually it's getting really exhausting for me to keep doing that. Like, from their point of view, it's ideal. You take me to my doorstep. Yeah, of course you can. It's on your way. It's not on my way. I have to leave the main road to deviate and then come back. So effectively a 2-hour drive home, which is bad enough for me. That 2 hours is a pain in the ass. It's now a 3-hour drive. It's like, why do I want to drive an extra hour for you to just be dropped off at your doorstep when you've already been getting trains and there's a train station nearby? So all they have to do is get on the train. I think they have to get off and switch trains somewhere, and then they get I don't know if they get a taxi or something back from the train station to their house. It's a whole process, but it's like their process, and it's like they do it every other time I'm not there. So part of me feels like it's the nice thing to do to offer that, but then it's like, why am I always going out of my way though? Like, why should I drive an extra hour? Like, it's like half the trip on top of it, It's bad enough. I don't think driving 2 hours is long enough, to be totally honest. I used to have to drive further than that for my daughter a long time ago. But I'm getting sick and tired of keep going out of my way for everybody else to have their life completely easy, and my life has to be hard as a consequence. And it's like, that's not balanced anymore. And it's that I'm learning to get over that guilt trip shit, because that's part of it as well. It's like, why should they have to get a train and do that process when they could just get dropped off at their door? And I get it, but then it's like, why should I lose an extra hour of my time? Why should I be so tired when I get home? It's all like, who cares about me? And that's the thing, isn't it? I think that's part that bothers me just as much. It's more the fact that no one seems to give a shit. So then why should I? And it's like having to reflect that and process that, And again, I'm sure when that was raised, I'm not sure that one, but there's something else. Yeah, one of those appointments when my brother needed help. That's coming up later in the month, later in September. But I'm sure people have gossiped about that without knowing all the circumstances. Because I had a damage to my car, I had to get fixed, which has now been fixed. But now it's whether I'm available on that day anyway, because I'm not going to put things on hold if I'm doing something. I've got to be somewhere. But I'm sure that's created a whole gossip party of people now perceiving me to be selfish, but it's not. It's an investment in self. And it could, you could border it on selfishness, but it's really not. If I, like, for instance, if a job transpires, let's say I'm working and I've got a job come up and I'm not going to forego that to do all this shit. That's not my problem. You know, I've got responsibilities. If I've got responsibilities, I'm honouring my responsibilities, and I'm focused on what I need to do for my life. That's my point. This has been a bit long-winded, and I didn't mean to be long-winded. I'm sure I've missed some things, but it was more about just the gossiping, really, and the approach people have to your life, and just realise that people don't have as much significance to your life as much as you, unless you give them that significance. If people want to have an opinion of it, they want to gossip, they don't like you anymore. They don't. It's like it really doesn't matter. It's like you don't need people to like you. I've just said I've got 2 people I give a shit about in this life right now, like deeply. I mean, it doesn't mean I don't like other people, but in terms of like my core. My daughter and my mum and myself. It's 3 of us. Beyond that, yeah, there might be a couple on the periphery, but then beyond that, everybody else had a chance with me and they're gone. I mean, so I'm good with that because I can stand tall on my own. So I really don't care about the noise around me. It means nothing to me. And that's the thing. I think that's what bothers people as well, because most people have insecurities and they want to be liked. They don't like the idea that someone doesn't like them. So I wouldn't be surprised if one day I bump into someone and it's like now all of a sudden they want to be nice. It's like, oh, just give over. I don't forget shit. It could be 10 years in the future and I still remember. I'm not here to play nice. I'm not here to pretend. Just give me a wide berth. Just leave me alone and we don't have to have that issue. I don't have to say to you I don't like you, but I will if I have to. You know, I have no problem with that. So I'm not starting arguments. It's just I'm just make it clear I don't like you, so please just leave me alone. There's nothing you can say that's going to make me like you, so just leave it there. And that's what I'm like. So there is a level of arrogance in it, which I can understand. But hopefully people, if anyone's got this far, you can maybe understand where some of it stems. And the fact that although perceived perhaps arrogant, it's literally, it's an investing in ourselves. And it's really important because too many people, they literally do find themselves succumbing to peer pressure all the time. And a lot of the time it's family. So they're scared to just do things that they want to do for themselves because they're worried about what people might think of that. And it's like, who gives a shit? If you think about that, if you want to do something with your life, it's going to be something substantial, it's going to be life-changing and life-affirming even. And maybe your family wouldn't agree with that, or they don't believe in you, or whatever it is. It's like, okay, so you would forego that experience and that potential because you want to appease and make others comfortable. So you're suppressing potential in your life. Like, what's the point of having those people around you if you're not going to be happy? It's like, it doesn't make sense to me. If people can't be happy for you as you grow, then they're not for you. People show you who they are, and I think that's the part, isn't it? People show you who they are, and you best believe them. You know what I mean? Like, don't sugarcoat it and gloss it and try to, because I've done that myself, where you try to fit ideals onto people, you know? So like maybe someone's showing you something, but you don't want to believe it. So you try to say, oh, they're just having an off day, or they don't mean it, or they've had their own trauma. All these things you make excuses for. But it's like, no, they're showing me they don't respect me. They don't value me. That's fine. So by reflection, I don't respect and value them anymore because I value myself too much to allow that shit in my life. Anyway, hopefully, I don't know how this video comes across at all, but hopefully it's positive. And if it is positive, hopefully it's inspiring in some way, because I'm not really sure if I lost track completely or whether it's been any good, to be totally honest. Sometimes I have like positive ideas after the video and I think that was a good video. This one, until I hear it back, I don't have a clue. I don't.